Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and good evening, viewers. This is Rehan Shamsi, your host at rahmtv.com. Today we have a very special guest, New York Senator and Queens Democrat, Mr. Tony Avella. Good evening, sir. Thanks for your time, and we really appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure.
Mr. Tony Avella, we really appreciate your hard work in order to make our lives easier as a New Yorker and as a Muslim in particular. Today we are here and we want to know more about you. And we'll talk less politics and more about you. So please tell us something about yourself. Means your parents, your family, your siblings, your brothers and sisters. Yes.
Well, I'm only second generation. My parents were born here, but my grandparents all came from Europe. So, I'm like many people who came to this country, only second or first generation. I grew up in Astoria. I went to public schools, PS 166, and then to a local junior high school and a local high school. And then I went to college in Manhattan, Hunter College. And I'm a lifelong Queens resident.
Wow. And what did you study in college?
Well, when I first went to college, I wanted to be a civil engineer, build things, bridges, tunnels, and I found I didn't like the higher calculus. So at that period of time, the country was in like a little bit of turmoil, and I thought, well, I didn't want to be one of those people who let somebody else, do the work. So I said, well, maybe I should get involved in my community and politics.
Right.
So I switched my major, and I took political science in college. And I graduated and sort of got involved in the community, never ever realizing that I would ever get to the position that I'm in now.
Wow. So how did you start with your career? So you started as a...
Well, right after I got out of college,
Yeah.
I started volunteering in my own community, joining organizations. Then I joined the local community board. And just started doing community projects, and that's how I really started in politics, as a community activist. Then I started working in some campaigns. I had the opportunity to run for office. I lost my first 2 times,
Okay.
But I kept on persevering.
It was tough, maybe, right? Like in the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, well,
when
Abraham Lincoln lost twice before he got elected.
That's true.
Yeah, it goes to show you. And then I ran for the city council and won in 2001.
Okay.
And then I ran 3 times successfully. And then I followed the will of the people in not running for a 3rd term because of term limits, because the people of this city voted to have term limits, in effect,
Right.
8 years and out. Unfortunately, the mayor overturned that to give everybody a 3rd term, which I thought was a disgrace. So I decided I wasn't going to run for the 3rd term, even though I could have and could have won.
Right.
So what I did was I ran for mayor in the Democratic primary against Bill Thompson. Even though I had no money and no organized political support, we still got 21% of the vote citywide, which was
Wow.
a huge achievement. And then the following year, I ran for the state senate and, won against a Republican incumbent who had been in office for 38 years.
Wow.
And then
that's a big achievement.
It was, and he was popular too. So
Yeah, he was
and
quite
we
popular.
thought it was going to be a close race, and as it turns out, we won easily. And that's important to the Muslim community in the 11th senatorial district. So I always appreciate that. And then this past re-election, I won with over 73% of the vote.
Wow.
And
that's
now I'm
remarkable.
running for Queensborough president this year.
Yeah, we heard that,
Yeah.
and we're really excited about that. So, so how did are you inspired with somebody in politics? I mean, you have friends, you have some relatives in the.
Well,
politics?
actually, it's interesting because I worked one of the jobs that when I finally got into government,
Right.
before I was elected to public office, I worked for Ed Koch, the former mayor of New York City. And I really
So you
admired
had
him.
that kind of
Yes.
exposure.
Oh yeah,
in
experience.
public. Yeah.
So even though I was working in the community as a volunteer, then I got governmental experience as well.
Okay.
And he was an inspiration to me. He was a very hard worker. Most people don't know he was a good administrator. He ran the city.
Right.
There were certain mayors who think it's all about publicity, but he was behind the scenes. He did an awful lot of good. And I learned a lot from him. And of course, he was outspoken and I'm outspoken. I always feel, tell the truth, say what you think is important for the people, and they'll respect
So
it.
he made a lot of impression.
Yeah, he made a big impression upon me. Yeah.
Oh, good. So you didn't have any idea that you will be that successful?
No, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
I wanted to be, you know, when you start as a civic activist, you realize if you want to make some real change, you have to be in public office.
Right.
So I started, and of course I lost the first 2 times. But then I kept building, and more people would support me the next time around, and finally I won. And I realized how I was thrilled to be elected to public office.
Right.
And I thought I'd be very happy if I was just serving in the city council. It really is something now to serve in the Senate. It's the highest office in the state of New York, other than being, let's say, a congressman.
Right.
So it really is an honor and privilege to represent the people of the 11th senatorial district.
That's correct. Okay, so let's talk about some like music. Do you? I know you are very busy in helping people and helping community, but sometimes you have some time. So
You know, it's funny. I used to think when I was in college, you know, the people who joined multiple organizations and they're always
Right.
running around, said I never wanted to be like that. But now I am. I mean,
when you were in college, you used to listen to music.
Yeah, I did.
Like,
Yeah, I did. But
Yeah.
you know, now it's become, I do the job as a public official 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
That's true.
And I like it because I like helping people. But I don't have as much personal time as the average citizen
So
does.
how about
anymore.
your wife? Yeah, she always complained.
Well,
Or-
she
or
was
she
very
supports
good.
you?
She supports me. She would go to me with to a lot of events. She'd be very helpful. Now that I'm in the Senate and I have to travel to Albany half the time, she
Right.
actually gets a rest when I'm in Albany.
Oh, okay.
But
so
she's
so
been
when
very
you don't go
supportive.
for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
she says, when is the next one?
But she's been very
So
supportive.
she, oh,
Yeah.
okay, very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's the boss in the house?
Is she going to see this?
Maybe we don't have her number, but we'll try.
I think we share responsibilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a nice way. to put it. Yeah. Okay. Do you have kids?
No, we don't.
Okay. So very nice. So you go to shopping sometimes?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. You do your own shopping or your wife's?
My wife and I go do the supermarket together when I can. I mean, now that I'm in Albany, sometimes she'll
Because
do it.
you're so busy.
You're right, right. Sometimes she'll go alone now, but we like to go together. And when I go shopping for my clothes, she comes with me. So we try and do things together like that because that's the only time we'll have together.
Right. Oh, very nice.
And
So-
she works in healthcare,
Okay.
and so she's got a full-time job. And sometimes, you know, the jobs conflict, so we don't get to see each other. Sometimes I'll be out going to a community meeting, and
Right.
she may have something to do for her job too.
That's true. So how about sports? You like sports?
I'm
you
a big
used to play
baseball
when you were-
fan.
Okay,
I'm
go
a
ahead,
big
sorry.
the New York Mets.
Oh, okay.
That's
Got
the
it,
only
yeah.
baseball is the only sport I really watch. It's the only thing I get time to do.
Okay.
Unfortunately, when you're a Met fan these days, it's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
hard
they're
to
not
be a
doing
Mets
too good
fan,
now
yeah.
these days. Yeah.
So
But Yankees are also in a mess now these days. You must
Yeah,
have
yeah.
heard, right? So.
but that's the one sport that I watch. I'll watch football, football once in a while.
Okay.
But I don't have a lot of time to get involved in sports.
Okay. So. Is it fun to watch yourself on the TV, on the newspaper?
No, I don't look at myself on TV. I delete because I guess if I saw myself, I'd probably feel more self-conscious. So I don't watch myself. I don't read the articles that I'm in. My staff in the office might. But I don't, it's, to me, it's just part of the job, but I don't get excited. I know the first time, many, many years ago, when I was a community activist, the first time my name was in the newspaper, I got really excited. After that, I don't pay any attention.
You don't pay attention.
No.
How about your wife make comments like?
Oh, my wife will watch
always,
it.
She always.
Oh yeah, she'll watch it and she'll say, oh, your tie wasn't straight or something.
Okay.
So she'll give me advice,
Okay.
Oh yeah, she'll watch it.
So, who's your favorite politician besides you?
And that's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, I guess,
Local or international?
well, I think, of course, Ed Koch when he was alive.
Right.
And it's unfortunately passed away
Oh
recently.
yeah.
I have a lot of respect for Barack Obama. I think he's, doing a very good job with a very tough economy and a Republican majority in the House of Representatives. It's
great.
very tough to do the right thing when you have people always opposing you. You know, it's unfortunate that we can't get Congress to work together more. My favorite president, by the way, is Theodore Roosevelt. He was born almost a little over 100 years before I was, but on the same birthday.
Oh,
And
you share the same birthday?
yeah, the
Oh,
same birthday. He was, I sort of liked the way he conducted himself as a politician. His favorite expression was, speak softly but carry a big stick. That was the expression. So be prepared, if you have to have a fight, to do the right thing by the people. He was also an environmentalist. He created the first national park, which is Yellowstone.
Oh.
He did a lot. He broke up the monopolies which controlled the country at that time, to make business more competitive. He did a lot of great things, and that's why, you know, he's one of the fixtures on Mount Rushmore of the 4 greatest presidents.
Oh, okay. Very good to know. So how about economy? How do you feel? Is it going in the right direction now?
I think
The
yeah,
country's economy and New York's economy?
slowly we're moving in the right direction. We still need to create more jobs.
I
and we
mean,
need to do more.
yeah, we are making history every day in stock exchange. I don't know, but to us, I don't know what does that mean. I mean, we don't feel
Well, that's
yeah,
Well, see, that's it.
as a common person. Yeah.
You know, the one thing that bothers me about the economy of this country is, and it also relates to the taxes, the upper 1% of this country continue to make money, while the rest of us, the 99%, who go to work, have working families, both spouses work to keep meet ends,
Right.
you know, make ends meet, and we're barely keeping our head above water. We need to do more for middle-class New Yorkers, and especially small business. You know, it's not the big corporations that employ the most people, it's small business. 75% of the jobs in New York City and New York State are small businesses, and we need to do more for them. We need to cut taxes. We need to encourage small business to expand, hire some people that are unemployed. And actually, that's one of the things we've been doing in the Senate. We passed legislation last year, I hope we pass it again, that would give a tax break to a small business owner if he hires an unemployed person. We passed it in the Senate. Unfortunately, the Assembly didn't pass it, so it didn't get through. But we're going to try and do that again this year. But we need to do more for the average New Yorker, because they're struggling. We're struggling.
Right.
I'm in
Yeah.
that-
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in that 99%, you know.
So, are you religious, by the way?
I'm Catholic, I'm Roman Catholic.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you practice?
Yes, yeah,
Oh,
well,
okay,
you know,
very nice.
I mean, I think it's very important to
Right.
pray every single day.
Right.
No matter what religion you come
Oh,
from, you know, we all believe basically in the same things.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And
All
I think-
religions are
right.
good. They teach love.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
that-
And I
yeah.
think that's something that we have to encourage
Right.
more of.
Peace
You
and
know,
justice. Yeah.
peace, etc. You know, a social background and understanding that we all share this planet together,
Yeah.
and that we need to have mutual understanding. And that's actually one of the things I'm trying to do as a state senator, encourage all the different groups to work together. In Queens, for example, is the most diverse county in the entire country. And that's one of the reasons I'm running for Queensborough president, to you know, get all the diverse ethnic, religious groups to work together, to get everybody to understand we all want the same things, and to celebrate that diversity in culture and music, and et cetera. And I think we need to do more in that respect, and that's why I'd like to be a borough president, to do that.
Okay, very nice. So, how does a typical day look like for?
Well, it depends. If I'm in Albany,
Yeah.
which I'm like a couple of days out of the week, it's usually meetings with people and groups about particular legislation or funding for groups. And then there are committee meetings, because all the work on a piece of bill goes to a committee first, and then once the committee votes it out, then it goes to the full Senate.
Right.
And then at 3 o'clock every day, the full Senate meets, and then we discuss bills, and we talk about other issues. And then, after session is over, it may be 3-4 hours, sometimes we're there to midnight.
Right.
And then there may be an event in the evening. And then I go to the hotel, which I stay at in Albany, and then I do the whole thing all over again the next day. When I come back to the district, I go into the district office in the morning. I have meetings with local constituents, same type of issues I do in Albany. I may do press conferences on site about issues. I visit people's houses if they have a particular problem. And then I go to meetings at the night, in the nighttime. And the same thing on the weekend. I may not go into the office, but I'm going to a lot of events, and if somebody has a problem, and they want me to come and see it on their block, I'll actually go to the person's house. So that's what my day is, every day.
Wow. It must be, very, very.
Yeah, it is
but
busy.
I can tell you really enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's the
Well,
spirit of a real politician.
I like helping
Yeah.
people. And seeing the reaction on people's faces when they know you're there to help them,
Yeah,
you
it
can't
makes
put a
all
price
difference.
tag on it.
Yeah,
You
there's
can't.
no price tag.
And every now and then, I'll get a thank you letter from somebody. I get letters sometimes that people say, I wrote to every elected official, you're the only one who actually helped me, and it's made a big difference in my life. And that helps me keep going and working hard every day.
Wow. What is your biggest fear?
Not being able to help people is not being successful. Because just the
you
other
see
day,
people in trouble and you
Yeah,
cannot help.
just the other day I had a couple of people come into my office. And sometimes it's a local thing which you can fix. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's a policy issue, which it's very hard to get the city or the state or the federal government to change policy. And even though I will agree with them, sometimes it's like very tough. And I feel bad because I can't do more to help them, but it's beyond my power as an individual legislator. And I know that sometimes the system breaks down. And that's why when I feel very frustrated, that I can't resolve every single problem that's brought to my attention.
Oh, okay. So do you feel like, do you miss a life of a common person? I mean, you are so busy and so much in the spotlight.
There are some
you work,
days,
some days you
there are
just.
some days where I wish I could go fishing,
Right.
I haven't been to a movie. I can't tell you how long. I have not taken a vacation. My wife and I have not taken a vacation in 10 years.
Wow.
In the 8 years I was in the city council, I didn't take a vacation. I felt guilty taking time away from the job. We took a vacation after I won the state senate race before I actually took office. That's the only vacation, it was a weekend vacation. So in 10 and a half years, I've had a weekend vacation. I just don't have the time, and I feel bad because there's always some person who needs help.
And you were here in States or?
Yeah,
you were
no, the
going-
weekend vacation I just took upstate.
Okay.
So I've never left the area.
So
I've
now
never left the state.
so you were in town.
Yeah.
And maybe I guess I bet you were getting calls over there too.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. And I want people to call me, it's like, and I tell my staff, if there's something going on, call me,
Right.
Because I would feel very bad if something happened and I wasn't there to help somebody.
Yeah, I know. You have so much energy and you are so busy. I don't know if you go to fishing, I don't know if you can sit for.
Yeah, right.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be walking around and
Right.
you'll be talking to people. Yeah. Alright. So how's the campaign going?
It's going good. We're raising money. It's not easy asking people for money, and I don't like doing that. But what I'm relying on is donations from individuals like yourself. I'm not the typical politician who goes to the big donors and gets those big checks, because that's how the corruption in government starts. Because when they write that big check, they want something back from you. And usually, it's not in the best interest of the public. In the city of New York, when you run for city offices, the city has the campaign finance program, where if you get a certain number of small donations, you get matching funds. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to reach the threshold to get those matching funds, which for borough president is $44,000. People can donate, a city resident can donate between $10 and $175 towards that matching funds. And once I get enough of those contributions, then once I get to like 44,000 in those matching funds, I'll get 270,000 in matching funds. Then the campaign becomes really credible.
Right.
So if any of your listeners would like more information, they can reach me at TonyAvella4Queens@gmail.com.
Okay. So viewers, please note down this email address. It's very important. Tony Avella
for Queens.
for queens@gmail.com. So it's been a while now since you know us at Mufti Munir Foundation, and you've been coming to us. So how do you feel like you want to give any comments about Mufti Saab or our foundation,
Well, do you know,
or any advice?
well, I'm actually have been very honored to work with you and the foundation for the past 2.5 years. And I think it's my goal to make sure that everybody understands the Muslim community better than they do now. One of the things I know you are, and everybody in the Muslim community is very upset about, and so am I, is the constant discrimination that you face. And, you know, for example, the Boston Marathon, you know, tragedy. And those two individuals, which everybody condemns.
I was
it's
coming to that point.
They were immediately identified as being Muslim.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's not that they were Muslim; they're terrorists, but it's
so
irrespective of their religion, because the Muslim religion doesn't advocate this. And
definitely,
that's what I've learned, and that's what the average person in the city and the state has to know. And that's what I'm committed to doing, to stand with the Muslim community when this discrimination comes up. And one of the things that I've started to do is bring the Muslim community together with the rest of the ethnic and religious community to make sure that we all understand we all want the same thing. We want a quality of life. We want to have a job. We want our kids to have the best education. And we want the ability to practice our religion in freedom and in a safe manner. And that's what you're committed to do, and I'm committed to help the Muslim community achieve those goals.
So, what are your views about gun laws?
Well, we just passed in the state of New York one of the toughest gun laws in the country. We need to reduce the amount of guns that people have. I've never understood why somebody needs the ability to have an automatic weapon in their home. You know, if somebody wants to have a small weapon to defend themselves, I can understand that.
Why would we need an assault rifle?
Assault rifle. I've never understood that,
no.
for self-defense.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why there's so opposition to banning automatic weapons. The National Rifle Association lobbies very heavily in Washington.
They are very strong, and
they have a lot of money. They
President
donate
was
to politicians.
very disappointed. 2 weeks
It
ago.
really is a disgrace that we can't pass this legislation, which other countries throughout the world have already done. You don't need an automatic weapon to defend yourself. These are guns that will shoot 30 to 40 rounds in seconds.
That's true.
We don't need this in this country. So there has to be reasonable guns and reasonable gun laws. But not only that, they're against background checks. Why would you be against somebody getting a background to make sure they're not a criminal, that they don't have a history
This is
of
a
mental
common
disease?
sense law.
Exactly. So I'm happy we passed the law that we did, but it's amazing how much opposition there was from the NRA and some of their supporters.
And in connection to your previous comments about the Muslims, and we want to know about your comments about Muslim surveillance of NYPD.
That's another thing that's really disgraceful. I have vocally said I'm against stop and frisk, for example, because
stop and frisk is another issue.
It's like 800,000 New Yorkers have been stopped in the last 2 years.
Wow.
800,000 New Yorkers.
And what's the success rate?
Maybe right, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe they find a few weapons.
Yeah.
It's not, for the few incidents where they actually find something, it's not worth the abuse of human rights. So I'm totally against it, and I don't think the Muslim community should be arbitrarily surveilled by the NYPD. I think this goes against the very foundations of this country in terms of freedom of religion and human rights. And that has to change. And I'm totally supportive of changing that. The NYPD does a great job. The police officers who patrol us and keep us safe. But this is beyond the average police officer. This is policy of the police department and the mayor.
Yeah.
And this is policy
Yeah,
that has to
the
change.
mayor defends it.
Yeah, the mayor defends it.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Mike Bloomberg. I can't wait for him to leave office.
Okay. And in the end, Senator, if you get elected, and we really wish you, so
Thanks.
what the measures you will take
Well,
for
first of
people
all,
of Queens?
one of the things I've always said, whether it was in the city council, the senate, and now running for borough president, nobody knows their block better than the people who live there. And it's about time that government started paying attention to every single neighborhood, every single block. And as borough president, I'd be reaching out to everybody and saying, what do you need for your community? What's right about your community? What needs to change? How can we improve it? How can we work together? And that involves like a planning process in every neighborhood. Right now we do planning from the top down. It needs to be from the bottom up. I want to make sure that every person in the borough of Queens has a real say in what happens in their community. I also want to bring all the ethnic, religious groups together and to improve this borough, improve education, improve quality of life. The borough president, for example, has access to 5% of the capital budget. That is a huge amount of money that the borough president, he or she, can allocate totally at their discretion. So that's a lot of money that could go for the local schools. Maybe there's some playgrounds or sports fields that need to be rehabilitated or built. That's what the borough president can do. That's what I want to do. So it's just an opportunity to make sure that everybody feels they're a part of the government, which I'm sure people don't today. And so I want to make this the best borough in the city of New York, and I will be, and this is a commitment, the most active borough president in the history of Queens. And everybody will be able to talk to me, reach me. Right now, anybody who wants a meeting with me, whether they live in my Senate district or not, just call my office, which by the way is 718-357-3094, and you get a meeting, as long as we can schedule it. But anybody who wants a meeting with me I sit down with them personally. I would do the same thing as borough president, even though this is a borough of 2 million people, I would make that time available. So I hope that your listeners, will be supportive in the campaign. Again, the way to reach the campaign is Tony Avella, Tony, V as in Victor, ELLA, for Queens, FORQUEENS, @gmail.com. And I hope if some people email, they'll want to donate. We need to raise those funds.
Definitely.
That's important. But I look forward, the Muslim community within the 11th Senatorial District, Belrose, Queens Village, New Hyde Park, Glen Oaks, helped me get elected to the Senate. That you did. And I hope that I can count on your support for the Queens Borough President. And then we can do great things together.
Okay, sure. So wish you all the very best.
Well, thank you so much.